44. Social Planning and the Family. Chalcedon Position Paper number 177, July 1994. In the middle of the 4th century AD, history's most radical communist revolution occurred in Persia. What had been a powerful civilization was overthrown by the Mazdakites, who instituted a total communism of all wealth, property, and women. Proof of agreement with the revolutionists was required. This meant incest, mothers with sons, fathers with daughters, to demonstrate agreement with the Mazdakites. This revolution, anti-family to the core, was finally overthrown after some years by Khosroes Ashnovaran II, but the damage had been done. In time, the Turks overthrew Persia. 11 centuries later, Sir Thomas More, 1478 to 1535, wrote Utopia, 1516. He reduced marriage to its physical level. A man inspected his bride naked before agreeing to marry her. More used the same method with his daughter. While More professed to be a devout Catholic, his career revealed him to be a dedicated statist. In the 19th century, John Humphrey Noyes, 1811 to 1886, was the founder of the Oneida Colony, an experiment in voluntary communism. All his followers pooled their property. Oneida became famous for its sexual communism, but few realized that Noyes at first planned on celibacy like the Shakers, before turning to free love. This raised an important question which is basic to any understanding of various social experiments. They are usually very hostile to marriage and the family. They prefer to favor celibacy, free love, homosexuality, group marriages, and other expedients as alternative to monogamous marriage. The reason for this is a very important one. The biblical family controls all the basic powers of life other than the death penalty. The biblical family controls children, property, inheritance, welfare, education, and more. It has more powers than state or church. It is the most powerful force in society, and it governs the future. Every institution seeking to dominate society and to shape the future must work against the family, or else recognize it as the basic institution. At present, state schools, statist welfare, state control and taxation of property, which is anti-biblical, inheritance taxes, and more, all challenge the family's priority and seek to further the growth of state power. Legislation and taxation penalize the family while favoring, quote, alternate lifestyles, end quote, as legitimate. Sociologists, psychiatrists, psychologists, and others have seen the family as a nursery of neurosis and evil. Freud, for example, saw the family and sex as the root of personal problems, but he failed to write about the family's potential for good. One of the first objectives of humanistic education is to sever the tie between the student and the family. Whereas freedom and family life were once equated, now our intellectuals see freedom as deliverance from the family and its morality. Again and again in history, social and political revolutions have been preceded by a war against the family. The Ancien Régime in France did not realize that their Sadean ways, their contempt for sexual virtues, and their treatment of marriage as a joke prepared the way for their execution. They had eroded the major anchor in society for stability and character. By making the family an object of contemptuous humor, they prepared the way for the erosion of all things save the power state. The war against the family often has very, quote, idealistic, end quote, goals. Social life as against family life is stressed. World brotherhood, as against the supposedly narrow ties of family and blood, is promoted. It is held that world harmony, peace, and brotherhood require the bypassing and downgrading of family and blood ties. Men like Charles Horton Cooley have held that human nature is a group nature. It is not a product of creation, nor of a fall of man, but of society. Human nature is a group nature. This means that a primary goal of education must be socialization. As a result, it is held that Christian schools, and especially homeschools, are dangerously inadequate in failing to provide the desired socialization. The Christian family sees itself as under God, not under the state, and this is offensive to the statist. The Christian stresses chastity strongly because it means loyalty to the family and to God. It is a virtue in the old sense of the word, a strength because it reinforces family life. If, however, the family is seen in terms of humanistic statism, chastity is absurd and unduly possessive. It is, for the statist, replaced by the uncompromising faith in a one-world state, in the family of man, and in personal fulfillment, not under God nor in marriage, but in humanity and its unity. Humanistic chastity is its total belief and devotion to the family of man and its worldwide social order. This humanism can be very tolerant of all kinds of sexual deviancy, but it reacts instinctively against the family because it cannot tolerate a rival faith. Chastity has behind it God's mandate, that is, a supernaturally required order and way of life, and this is anathema to the statist. The question is, whose order shall prevail, God's or man's? John Humphrey Noyes saw the issue. Either celibacy or free love, anything except biblical marriage. He knew that he could not command diverse peoples if he allowed the institution of monogamous marriage to exist. The war against the family goes on all around us. The best way to eliminate the church is to eliminate the family. Utopians have tried repeatedly to eliminate the family as the centre by stressing values such as art. More than a few colonies with art as the focus were started by the hippies and their successors in the 1970s. One group stressed in their artwork, animals and people holding hands with each other. Rosabeth Moss Cantor, Commitment and Community, 1972-1973, page 43. Cantor noted, to many utopians, monogamous marriage also represents a barrier in the road to brotherhood. Marriage is seen as exclusive possession, a kind of slavery, as well as a source of jealousy and tension. Ibid, page 44. Ironically, the utopian colonies commonly become centres of jealousy and tension. And why not? When those who excel, such as doctors, are required to put in as much time as janitors. Their goal is to make a vision become reality. The dream assumes the goodness of all peoples, given the opportunity. The utopian group seeks to replace the biblical family with a broader family, but the fact of sin warps and destroys the utopian colony. Every social experiment that seeks to destroy the family, in time destroys itself. God's fundamental order cannot be legislated out of existence. Man is God's creation and creature, and neither church, state, school, nor any other agency can subvert or overturn that fact. The social planners have repeatedly over the centuries tried to eliminate the biblical family, and they have always failed. God's plan predates theirs, is inescapable, and is predestined to prevail. What God has ordained, no social planner can long put asunder